Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zelda. We're over the hump. All the bad stuff is out of the way. There's certainly going to be some questionable and some problematic stuff and some issues here and there, but nothing we cover from this point onward is going to be like Zelda 1 or Zelda 2. I hope. And I'm going to go ahead and admit in private right here, so it's a part of the record, that I am legitimately quietly worried in the back of my mind that we're going to run into another Zelda 1 or Zelda 2 in the course of the games coming forward. Now, intellectually, that's unlikely, right? Right? Anyways, some people have asked why we're covering Link's Awakening before we cover LTTP. The reason why is the same reason we covered Super Metroid towards the end of the Metroid block. I do like to push the so-called best towards the end of the block, so we'll be covering Link to the Past alongside Link Between Worlds. And those two are probably the best 2D Zeldas, so those are the ones being covered towards the end. That's also the main reason why we're covering Four Swords Adventures right over there, too. So, yeah, that's the reasoning. But obviously this came out after Link to the Past, because of course it did. Link to the Past had its own things. We'll talk about that in a minute. And by a minute, I mean a few days. But a lot of stuff was being thrown at the wall when it comes to this game because, well, it didn't even start its life as a Zelda game. Kazuaki Morita, who you, of course, have never heard of. He was one of the central and main programmers, one of the people who actually was the people actually programming the engine and the code and the logic for games like Ice Climbers, the Marios, the Zeldas, Link to the Past. He would later be the person who ended up doing things like boss scripting and figuring out how boss mechanics would work and things like Ocarina and Majora. He eventually became the senior director of the programming team all the way up to and including Breath of the Wild. He, before LTTP came out, he took home a dev kit for the Game Boy just to tinker with. He just wanted to see what it could do. So let's see what we can do with this thing. I just played around with it and was just doing whatever. I just realized I actually brought music for this. Whoa, whoa, what the hell is that? There we go. That's a little better. So he just brought it home, started tinkering with it, and started playing with it. And that program, that random software he was throwing together just for fun, just to see what this system could do, is what would form the bones and eventually the engine of Link's Awakening. Then LTTP came out. Cool. Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick anecdote. I'll probably mention this later. But the aforementioned Morita, he is actually the reason why the Zelda series has fishing minigames. He is notoriously a big lover of fishing. And so completely on his own spare time, he decided to go ahead and add the entire fishing minigame and the mechanics for it to Ocarina. Moving on. So, LTTP came out, and several people in the A&D department, which was core Nintendo back in the day, would just kind of join in after hours to tinker with it and toss around ideas and workshop around the table. And as they were experimenting and figuring out what they could do, LTTP finally came out, and Tezuka came in. Now, Tezuka, if just to make sure we're getting all of these names correct here, Tezuka was the gentleman who was the story writer for Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, the Lord of the Rings guy, if you remember him. He looked at what they were doing and he was like, hey, could we do a port of Link to the Past to the Game Boy? Management looked at that and said, yeah, 100%, because LTTP was a smash hit. So, easy green light. Cool. So, Tezuka reached out to Morita, and the two merged the projects. Like, hey, this little side engine you've been working on, let's use that, and let's recreate LTTP in it. See what we can do with it on the Game Boy. And they're like, cool. Shouldn't be too hard. So then they brought in Kensuke Tanabe. He's a fun one. He was a course designer back in the day, and at this point in time, historically. He actually still works at Nintendo to this very day. In fact, he is currently, as of right now, working as a line producer on Metroid Prime 4. Anyways, he was brought in to work on it, and his big job was to design the overall scenario. Now, there's actually two elements of scenario design. One is narrative, and one is gameplay. Ideally, both are done at the same time. That was not done here. He was brought in to do the gameplay scenario design. And so he was given three big directives. There can be no Zelda, there can be no Triforce, there can be no Hyrule. So he came up with the idea of the island, and that containing the events of the game, and going around interacting with people. The very concepts of like side quests, the trading minigame, how the structure of the dungeons work, that's all on him. After this, they brought in Yoshiaki Koizumi. Now, anybody who's a Zelda fan knows that name, and I myself have actually mixed up this guy's name before. That's my fault. This guy was the guy who wrote the LTTP manual, the guy who basically wrote the mythos and backstory and world building of the Zelda franchise. He also would be involved in future games, including Ocarina and Majora, and would go on to become a director. He is probably most well known in Nintendo circles as being the reason Mario Galaxy 1 actually has a solid story score. We talked about this already just last year because he was then shot down on the much more advanced and developed story that he was already working on for Galaxy 2. Anyways. So, Koizumi was brought in to do things like story concepts, plot, themes, and of course, the scenario, the story side of the scenario. So a lot of the story aspects of things, the dreaming fish, all that kind of stuff, spoilers, all of that came from him, and he did a lot of things. But he didn't actually, it wasn't quite there yet. He did have the idea to have solid NPC characters. Now, I know what you're saying. Hold on. In both previous Zelda games, 2 and LTTP, there were NPCs. Yeah, but tell me a single character with a defined characterization of either of those games. Impa is not in either of those games, Nameless Baron. So his big idea was, let's make the NPCs memorable. I mean, you could argue that I Am Error was memorable, but not for the reason of being a character. And while there is some good story in LTTP, and there is, we'll show that off when we get there, none of the characters really pop in and of themselves. So, we're going to go ahead and emphasize that. We want each of these NPCs to be memorable. We want each character to have a little bit of characterization that makes them pop and makes them feel like a more fleshed out individual roaming the world. And yeah, as Jesse's Mask points out, this exact same vibe and tone is exactly what they would continue to carry forward in Majora's Mask, and arguably Ocarina, but definitely Majora's Mask. But Koizumi didn't actually write all that stuff. Instead, he handed it off to Tanabe, Kensuke Tanabe. This is actually funny because it's these three gentlemen, Koizumi, Tanabe, and Tezuka, all are pretty much, I think, based on my own research, based on my looking into, they are the reasons why this game has such a solid story core. Because Tanabe looked at them and said, dialogue, we need to make them have different tones, we need to make them have different character tics, even if they're exaggerated. Even if we're making one-note characters, we need there to be a note there. So he sat down and actually wrote the dialogue for each of the characters in the game. And, as Talia has also already got out, I would be remiss if I did not mention the influence that Twin Peaks had in all this. In fact, Twin Peaks had so much influence on this, I stopped actually researching it because it was taking too long. Long story short, one of the creators of Twin Peaks was literally brought into the office during the creation of Zelda, during the creation of Link's Awakening, and was chatting with them about that. And there was legitimate discussion going on of Nintendo making a Twin Peaks game because most of the Nintendo people were huge fans of Twin Peaks. I can't stand Twin Peaks personally, so I can't talk about that. But it is hilarious when you think about it and when you look into it. But either way, Twin Peaks was something that was considered a major influence in terms of fleshing out the characters and designing the world. Two other little anecdotes before we move on, because I want to tell you something else too. This is the first Zelda game without Miyamoto being involved in the development and design process. Oh, don't mistake me, he was involved. He was a QA tester. And I don't in any way want to diminish the significant and massive role that QA testers have in the quality and polish of a game. But that's it. Miyamoto was just over there doing QA testing to make sure everything worked and everything popped, and make sure that the game actually functioned. It's worth noting that the original game, which we are not actually playing today, was a little on the buggy side. It was a mishmash of a lot of different code. Remember, all of this started as just a pet project of one dude who was just seeing what he could do with the Game Boy. So there's a lot of spaghetti code here. It is actually possible to soft lock yourself at 2 separate points that I am aware of, one of which is not even that hard to do. There's also a whole bunch of other issues, which I will probably not mention right now. But the other name I wanted to bring up was Aonuma, the Zelda guy, who I remind you, still is not involved in the project. We are in the 4th Zelda game, and Aonuma hasn't even started working on a Zelda game yet. He would not join the franchise until the 5th Zelda game, Ocarina. Now, please forgive me one moment. Now, I don't know, Nintendo devs tend to listen to QA testers. In all honesty, and I mean this with sincerity, the fact that the Game Boy version of this game is as buggy as it is probably directly a result of the fact that they did listen to their QA testers. So they were throwing a lot of stuff at the wall, right? And Link's Awakening it's one of those weird games. It's not the big flashy one that everyone remembers, like FF7, or I suddenly can't think of another example. But it is absolutely the one that is the most influential to them, to the developers. Like, we've talked about this concept before. We, the players, tend to think this particular game is very, very influential. But for the developers, it's actually this game over here that's much more niche, because more developers tend to be aware of the kind of the cool, interesting stuff that developers do. System Shock 1 is a perfect example of a game that didn't exactly make much of a splash from the player base and still hasn't, and yet is still cited even as recently as 2 years ago as being an influence on developers. Yeah, Ico is another perfect example. Link's Awakening is definitely a developer influencer. This introduced the concept of dungeon shortcuts. It introduced the basic format of what would become a Zelda game. You enter a dungeon, you get an item, you use the item to progress and then defeat the boss. And then you go do like an overworld connecty section leading to the next thing. They might say LTTP did that. Actually, no. LTTP dipped in and out of all kinds of different gameplay concepts. We'll talk about them when we get there. But there's no standardization to LTTP. Link's Awakening is the thing that brought that format to the fore and would be used in a lot of Zelda games hence. This is Link's Awakening is the first one, and this is something I actually talked about the last time I streamed this, that actually decided to introduce a different song per dungeon. So rather than Light World dungeons and Dark World dungeons, it's Dungeon 3, Dungeon 8, Dungeon 7. And that makes sense because they actually brought in 3 separate composers. A lot of 3s here when it came to making this game. Let's see, what else? They actually had cutscenes. Now, I know what you're about to say. Hold on. 1, 2, and 3 all had cutscenes. Not really what I mean. LTTP had kind of like an intro cutscene and an outro cutscene, but everything else was just dialogue and a couple of quick interactions. This game actually has honest-to-goodness cutscenes, what would usually be referred to as pre-rendered cutscenes, where the game just kind of pauses and someone goes off and does something. Link sitting on the beach with Marin is the typical example here. And so they decided to lean a little bit more heavily into that as a way to try and emphasize the story axis. Now, the story has been important to Zelda since the beginning, as we've talked about as we go here. But it could absolutely be argued that this is the Zelda that really started pushing the idea that the story axis should get as much attention as the gameplay axis, rather than being something that's important, but still nevertheless secondary. I love LTTP's story, but it's not as emphasized as this one's. Then we have the trading game concept. This is actually based on a popular rumor/myth in Japanese culture, but the idea is exactly what it sounds like. I've got this, I trade for this, I trade for this, I trade for this, and I get the boomerang and I kill the boss in one hit. That's also something that would be carried forward. But more importantly, it's not just the fact that it's the trading game, but as I kind of hinted at earlier, the very concept of side quests entering into the equation. Stuff you can do that is not primarily focused on completing your quest really came into the fore here. Once again, you'd think LTTP has side quests, and you are mistaken. Everything that you're probably thinking of as a side quest is either a mini game to get some bonus stuff, or is something you have to do to progress through the game. When did this come out? Oh god, I have no idea. I'll look it up in a second. Finally, this is the first time they decided to bring a certain aspect of Japanese culture into the Zelda franchise. I don't actually know what it's called. I was never able to figure out what the proper term is for this, but it's the sea creature that's mythical thing. You know what I'm talking about. It's really common in Japanese culture. Final Fantasy X, in many ways, is very, very well focused on this exact thing, right? It's a big deal. FF10 is entirely centered around this island chain and the water, and the water's what they use for the technology, and there's this water spirit, that's Sin, you get it. The water thing, and that, again, that's a big aspect of Japanese culture, which then would be brought into this game and in a lot of future Zelda games. We have the Jabu Jabu Fish, we've got the thing I can't remember the name of from the Oracles games, and there are other examples. Please forgive me. I'm actually fighting off a headache right now. Believe it or not, I had a fever chills attack. That's why we started so late. I ended up having to curl up in some blankets and lay down. It's okay, I got some sleep. But anyways, all of this stuff being brought in, cool. Oh, and as Jiggly Saint points out, this is also when boss keys started being a little bit more standardized. Now, they were actually in LTTP, but once again, LTTP did its own thing. For those of you who are very familiar with LTTP, like I am, you know that boss keys are not always mandatory when it comes to LTTP. There's plenty of dungeons you could do with very, very few keys, very, very few boss keys, or none, I should say, boss keys. But anyways, so... Okay, so I didn't mean for the music to take this long. I apologize for taking this long. I figured 7 minutes would be plenty of time. Let's just rewind here. There we go. Last thing I wanted to mention, though. So, no, that's actually one of my own mixes. Yeah, that's one of my own mixes. From, it's my mix of Big Shot. From Deltarune. Anyways. While doing research for this run, I decided to look up and figure out the exact list of changes between the Game Boy DX version, which is the Game Boy Color version, which I had back in the day, and this version right here, the Switch version. Because I have notoriously said several times that there's no difference between the two, and I'm an idiot, because I didn't know how many differences there were. Because it's good music, Talia. It's such a confusing question. I have music from Shovel Knight Dig. I haven't played that. So there's actually a lot of differences. I always find the minute differences interesting, and I do think that a lot of these differences will actually change the review. But to wit, probably one of the biggest changes is the text scroll speed and the fact that not every text has to repeat every goddamn time. How many of you played the DX version and you've gotten the power-ups, right? The seed or the whatever the other thing is. And the text plays every freaking time, and it takes forever. That's nuked. There was a polishing pass done on most of the bosses, most notably the final boss and the color boss, just changing some of the damage values and how they move. Obviously, it's a different engine, so they had to do that. There was a polishing pass on several items. The biggest and the most important thing there, though, related to items, is that there's actually now shortcuts. So you can just block and jump and I think dash without having to then bind those to something, which is a nice quality of life change because we have more than 2 buttons now, so we can work with that. Shielded enemies now have the ability to be staggered, which is nice. Money drops has been changed. This is a huge quality of life change, actually. For those of you who don't remember, obviously everyone just steals the bow, right? But if you don't steal the bow for whatever reason, then you may or may not know that getting those 900 rupees can be a chore. They decided to go ahead and change. So they did 2 things. First of all, rupees drop more often, and now there's 5 rupee drops. So that's cool. But second of all, they made it so that the very nature of how rupee drop calculation happens is different. And they added several different sources of rupees that you can get just by doing all the activities on the island. So your overall income flow is a lot smoother, and you're more likely to be able to buy the bow without having to thief it. So that was a big change. Heart pieces. They added more heart pieces. This is actually kind of cool the way they did this. I'm hugely in favor of this. So obviously your max health can go higher because there's more heart pieces. And that's great because what I first thought was that it's the same max health, but you just need more pieces to get it, which would suck. It's just padding. But no, you actually have a higher max health, but it's all optional. Unlike in the original, you do not have to procure the hearts in order to progress through the dungeon. You can actually just bypass the hearts and just finish the dungeon, which enables low-level challenges and 3 heart challenges. 3 heart challenges in order to progress, which I'm always in favor of the game actually supporting those kind of challenge runs. Big thumbs up. Seashells were completely fixed. How many of you remember getting seashells in the DX version? Now, the one and only time that I got all of them, I was using a guide. But there's apparently several issues when it comes to the seashells. So, first of all, there are more seashells than were in the original. But there's also the seashell sensor thing, which is a nice little quality of life change. But here's the biggest change. So in the original, it's very, very easy to miss out on seashell rewards. And it's near impossible to actually get all the seashells. Because at a certain point, the seashells are just turned into rupees, depending on what particular point at which you're in the progression. And you're probably thinking, well, hang on, how do you miss out on items? Because someone decided to code an equal side rather than equal to or greater. Some of you will get that immediately, but to explain, let's say I need 5 seashells to get this clicker right here. Okay, cool. Well, if I go there with 6, and I have set it to equals, I don't get the clicker, because I don't have 5 seashells exactly. In the original version, you have to go at these specific spots in order to make sure that you actually get the items you want. Otherwise, you will permanently miss them. In this version, they figured out that equal to or greater than exists, and thus you can just go and get all of them, and there you go, you're good. Other things. Warp points. Fast travel is massively improved in this version. In the original, there are several warp points, and they work like this. It's just a circle. You go from this one to this one to this one to this one to this one, and that's fine. In this one, there are more warp points, so you have more fast travel options to begin with, and you can just choose one and warp straight to it. So that's going to be a big plus on that front. They changed a few other things. The pot doors now have their own icon to indicate you're supposed to throw a pot at them, so that's probably a negative we will not give. Your hearts can go down to quarter instead of half, pretty much the standard. There's a map thing. I'll show that off when we get there. The River Rapids ride was completely overhauled. Has new times, new rewards, and now you can use the hook shot while doing it. They added the fact that once you get the dash, you can actually heal by running into trees, which will drop healing items. Mini-bosses no longer respawn when you're going back through a particular dungeon. The fishing minigame was drastically expanded. Of course it freaking was. And the photo minigame was nuked completely. Probably one of the bigger regrets for this one. And replaced by Dompe's Dungeon Builder. But it's not all good news, because all of that is good stuff, with one notable exception. First of all is the blur, which will absolutely be negatives for this version. And second of all is the claw game. Those of you who don't remember, the claw game was actually pretty predictable and pretty controllable in the original. That's because once you've managed to go and grab, you've got it. The item is yours. In this version, it's physicsy. There's an actual physics engine there. So once you grab an item, it then has to stay in the claw as you're dragging it over the thing to drop it off for you. So that sucks. Whew, okay. Thank you, Narset. Very much. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention the load time thing. Obviously, the game still uses cells, as most games do. But in the original version, pretty much every single screen was a cell. Which means as you're transiting, what you're seeing is load screen, load screen, load screen, like this is Zelda 1. In this version, instead, an entire block of terrain is considered one cell, so you can just move smoothly through it. And I'll put that towards Persona 3R, Dungeon Siege 2, no I do not, Spartan, and Heaven's Vault. Thank you very much, Narset. Always appreciate. Okay, without further ado. Let's check our save situation, shall we? We should be able to start a new save, but we'll see, won't we? Negative to anime. There's the blur in action. $93. There's your answer. Come on, 93. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, there's an autosave. I actually forgot about that. I suppose that means we need to delete one of these. Twice as much damage, no heart drops. That's hero mode. There's only one name for Link for me in every Zelda game ever. Nah, I'm kidding. Just for once, we'll break with tradition. Let's break from tradition. Oh, what a relief. I thought you never wake up. You're tossing and turning. Zelda? No, my name's Marin. You'll still be feeling a little woozy. You're on Koholint Island. Follow the lane south to reach the beach where I found you. Since you washed ashore, lots of nasty monsters have been in the air, so be careful, okay?
Nah.
Oh, Laura, you finally snapped out of it. Name's Taran. Hope you're feeling better. What, how to know your name? I think it's weird, huh? Well, I saw it on the back of this shield. What do you mean, Act? What's wrong with the aspect ratio? So there's the map. We'll talk more about this later when we get a little more of it explored. We also have a dedicated map button, which is really nice. The game is in 16:9, obviously. It's a Switch game. And there's that blur. God, that blur is so terrible. You're coming with me, buddy. I'm fine, and you? Oh, thanks. If I could turn it off, I trust you. I assure you I would. Point in fact, I actually was looking up if there was a way to turn it off. And there is, as long as I'm using, you know, a, emulated version. Please call outside. It seems old man Ulrira is a shy guy in person. I don't see a mask. What do you think of the doodads? Bubbling pot, little log. There's actually a spoon in the pot. We've got some tea herbs over here, some flower he's growing. He's got a cactus for some reason. Some plates, some bowls. He's got a mop for cleaning. He's got some books. What else are you going to do? Some firewood, obviously. A couple of chairs by his table. On his desk, he has a carpet for the phone, glasses, a picture of Koholint Island, a pen and quill, and, of course, the book. And he himself is on the rocker, obviously. Yeah, no, that blur is absolutely terrible. It is not as bad as Octoblur. It's really, really bad. You know, what you want to save? Hit up the system screen. You get there by opening the thing, and yeah, you can just save whatever. Just be like this. Boop. Yeah, no, that blur's terrible. Trust me, I did look into emulating this. Just to get rid of the blur and nothing else. Because there is, if you're wondering, a mod to get rid of the blur. Of course there is. So for those of you who don't know how depth of field works, which is what that blur actually is, depth of field is an extra bit of programming that the engine has to do on top of rendering the game itself. In other words, depth of field will always make the performance worse objectively, because it is extra processing on top of the rest of the game. Thus, because it is such a post effect, something that's done after all the central rendering is done, it's the kind of thing that's really, really easy to just toggle off. In fact, this game happens to be made in Unity, and Unity is extremely easy to turn off post depth of field. So, the mod for this is literally just adding a line of code to the INI file, which is in the game, saying, turn that crap off. Depends on if there's a blur, Blue Dragon EXE. Good night, Evo. Get some good rest. Seems after you save, unless you'll start at the place you saved, unless it's a dungeon, in which case you'll start at the entrance. I'm not really sure what that is, because I'm just a kid. Yeah, by the way, do you notice we don't even have options? Oh, hang on, there's our map. Like, there's no options. There's no options. However, there are several very cool things in the map. So, first of all, we can set 30 of our own icons, just like this is Breath of the Wild. Second of all, we can actually replay dialogue. Third, it'll show us exactly how many pieces and shells we have, so we're not missing that. And third of all, we can actually get rid of the markers to just see the map, in case we're just trying to investigate it. All of that is not exactly some bad features, and probably one of the bigger examples of gameplay pluses this version will get over the original. The map is actually pretty solid. Now, yeah, the original map was what I would call not helpful. That's the nicest way I could put that. It was kind of like Zelda 1's map, would probably be a better way to put that. It's not unhelpful, but, you know. Thank you, Croatia, as always. And if you give me a moment. Our emblem, 3 houses. Unicorn Overlord. Our emblem, echoes. You got it. Now, yeah, when did this game come out? 2019. Okay. Oop, oop, oop. Yeah. Yep, those are my boys. I'm Papal. Pleased to meet you. I'll be lost in the hills later, so keep a lookout for me, you hear? He's right. With 4 boys who look alike, even I get confused sometimes. By the way, my baby wants a Yoshi doll. I saw one at the trendy game, but I just couldn't get it. Can I just take a moment to gush about the doodad design here? There's a picture, there's like a crayon drawing there. In fact, there's several on the walls over here, too. Some toys, some pots, and of course, there's two big beds, 4 little beds, and then there's a big seat and 4 little seats at the table. Yes, it was Meat Fist. I'll be lost again? Or I'll be lost later thing? Yeah. So naturally, we want to go east. We can't. Similar to another game I could mention, Secret of Mana. We're pretty much locked out of here by the most natural thing imaginable. Bushes. So we cannot leave town to the east. Also can't do anything about all this grass all over the place. Yeah, when they were developing the game, many of the developers, and I know this because this is a very often quoted thing, would call this a parody of a Zelda game. Hello, it's me, Elrira. Ask me anything about the island. If you get lost, give me a call. You know, there's a library in the village. It might give you good information. Talk to you later. Oh yeah, by the way, one of the things that they wanted to approach when it came to the sound design of this specific version of the game, and you'll probably notice, obviously a lot of this music is orchestral, but they will also mix in the exact same sound fonts from the original periodically. Usually in the case of specific sound effects, but they'll also use it for music in some sequences. There's our fishing minigame, but we have no rupees, so... Yeah, funny thing. One might imagine that all of the references in this game are all dream stuff, because like Kirby's in the game, and Wart's in the game, and I think there's another one. But that doesn't line up one-to-one, and it very much was not done on purpose. Again, they were just pulling stuff because they could. I heard that when you're running out of hearts, you better go find a big fairy. Why? I have no idea. I'm just a kid. I heard you can press this to look at the map, and you can hit pins and remember stuff. Here's how you select items. Here's how you use the map. Here's how you use the spin attack. Whoops, that's not what I meant to hit. It actually tells you about how you can deflect things. It even mentions the mirror shield, which is another change in this version, consequently. Fun with bombs! And now I'm on a list. Here's how warp points exist and work. And this is a nice little atlas. This is actually kind of what our map will look like at a certain point in time. It's weird to think about how small it is. It doesn't feel that. Dark secrets and mysteries. Huh? Can't make out the tiny print without the aid of a magnifying lens. Well, if I ever find one, I'll try to figure out what that's all about. In this version, another change, by the way, is you have to get the magnifying glass in order to be able to access that, because otherwise you cannot progress. So first thing they throw at us is an enemy that has projectile attacks, of course. No, actually, Talia. As speedrunners and casters all the world over will tell you. So, when you get to the final dungeon in the original version, the layout is randomized But when I say randomized, I mean it's picked from a certain number of layouts, which there's only so many of. So if you have those layouts memorized, you can just try one. If it's not that one, try the next one. And if not that one, try the next one, and so forth and so on. And go through without having to actually do any of the game to get the magnifying glass. In this version, when you get there, it's like, you have no idea where you're going. And it's like a scripted thing. So you have to go and actually do that. Anyways. Notice that we've got really, really basic stuff in our way in several respects. And a weird key and some bug things? I don't know. That's just weird. Whatever, we'll come back to that. And yes, no attacks whatsoever, which was actually kind of an interesting choice. Zelda Link to the Past technically started this way too, but critically doesn't have you fight any enemies before you get the sword. You pretty much have to get the sword at the beginning of LTTP. Now you do here as well. But the biggest thing that this game gets that's a negative over the original version is pretty obvious, the blur. Other than that, quite a few people... go this way. Quite a few people prefer the camera minigame over the damn pace thing. So I'm just going to give this away really quick. There is no other way to go. The only way to go is here. Now, this is why the earlier thing actually told you flat out you can move things with your shield. So you're the lad who owns the sword. Now I understand why the monsters are starting to act so violently. A courageous lad has come to wake the windfish. It is said that you cannot leave the island unless you wake the windfish. You should go north to the mysterious forest. I'll wait for you there. You found your sword. It must be yours. It has your name engraved on it. So this is a good time as any to mention that there's actually some interesting storytelling stuff going on here. So first of all, someone asked earlier, and forgive me, I didn't catch who it was, would Link have died out at sea if not for the windfish pulling him into Koholint? The answer is no. The storm itself was actually summoned by the windfish in order to bring Link into Koholint. So he was fine. He was in no danger otherwise. Second of all, and substantially more importantly, have you noticed that they mentioned that the monsters didn't really become violent until recently? Also, if you talk to a lot of people around town, they're all kind of not quite right. It's kind of... oh, God, what do they call that? It's, Uncanny Valley. A lot of the NPCs in towns are a little bit Uncanny Valley. Now, I will go ahead and admit freely that I didn't really catch a lot of that as a kid, but that was mostly because I just didn't have enough faith in the video game that they were doing that on purpose. Spoilers, they were totally going for that on purpose. The idea here is that this whole place is supposed to not quite make sense. So, you know, as you're going through, people just being a little bit too blasé about things, understanding things they probably shouldn't, being able to reference things they probably shouldn't. There's a lot of what I actually call dream logic that's going on here, where... So, one of the most common elements of dream logic is when two connecting threads connect without anything connecting them. What do you mean here? So, for example, in dream logic, if you're sitting there and you're like, all right, we need to go to the theater, you're not going to dream, usually speaking, the actual trip to the theater and sitting there and chatting and talking. What you're going to do is you're going to think, we need to go to the theater, and then, like, you're going to be at the theater. Just like that. And that's just kind of how your brain tends to connect those sort of things. Like I said, it's very normal. Speaking of which, this is the LTTP link. Same link. just like the two Oracles games. For some reason, they decided to say the Oracles games occur before this, even though, for all intents and purposes, it actually makes more sense that this is happening after the Oracles games. Or, sorry, I don't know why I said that. That this is happening before the Oracles games, excuse me. Getting that screwed up. I apologize. They're screwing me up with their timelines. Remember we talked about earlier. In fact, we've talked about this a lot. We'll keep talking about this as we go through the Zelda series. The Zelda timelines are bullcrap and should be thrown out the window. The things that matter are the individual, the arcs. LTTP goes pretty smoothly to Link's Awakening, goes pretty smoothly to the Oracles games, goes pretty smooth. Or sorry, I screwed up again. LTTP, Oracles, Link's Awakening, 1, 2. Here we go. Chkunk! There we go. Each of those connects fairly strongly and fairly smoothly, and with no real issues in between them. Now, you could debate whether Oracles happens first or Link's Awakening happens first, and ultimately it doesn't really matter. All that matters is the two Oracles games, LTTP, and Link's Awakening is all the same Link. And all of this happens within just a few years of itself. Taryn went to the forest to look for toadstools, but I'd rather sing. Listen to this, it's called The Ballad of the Windfish. And yeah, I agree, personally. It makes more sense to me that it goes Oracles than Link's Awakening. Like, immediately after LTTP, Katoke and Kome decide to try and resurrect Ganon, because that's what the minions of Ganon do the moment he dies, is they try to resurrect him. We've already seen that. And that leads to the events of those two games. Sorry, very minor spoiler there. And it makes sense that the Triforce, which is now freed, would actually send him directly to those two lands in order to accomplish that. By the way, you like that respawn? Oh, can't lift that. Okay. How strange. Now we've got two barriers to progress. Anyways. Listen, Anarchomaxist. Listen. Shh. It's okay. Shh. Anarchomaxist is dead. Now, how many rupees do I have right now? 25. No, I keep screwing it up. I blame the headache, in all honesty. It makes more sense to me that Link's Awakening is last. Oh, and by the way, Link obviously doesn't die at the end of Link's Awakening. I mean, first of all, that's stupid. No offense. But second, and more importantly, there are seagulls nearby. Seagulls are not... They come from the coast. The mere fact that there are seagulls nearby means, by definition, he's actually close to some kind of land nearby. And there's a pretty good chance the Windfish and/or Marin is going to try and help him get to safety. The grass thing started in Link to the Past, that is correct. So, we're going to try this. We could save scum this, but nah, we got this. That's actually faster than I remembered. Oh, geez, that's a failure. That's a failure. That was way faster than I remembered. Yeah, I didn't even get it. Different Link, Geludo. Different Link. Okay, one more try. I've got this. Yeah, you remember when we were playing Yakuza Kiwami 1 and I never actually finished that one side quest? How many of you remember? I never finished that one side quest. Alright, fine. Just for you. We'll do the thing that's just going to waste my money. Oh, wow. I was just waiting for that to fall out. But yeah, to get the little gotcha toy for the little girl. Have my toys, please. And yeah, there's your physics for the game. Just checking the price, I couldn't remember. Oh man, I love me some McDonald's without fries. Why would you ever get McDonald's without fries? I am not Blue Track and EXE. Brave lad, on your quest to wake the dreamer, welcome to the mysterious forest. Much of mystery you will find on this uncharted Koaland island. I'm afraid you may find it a trifle difficult to leave the island while the windfish naps. But by the by, have you ever visited the Tail Cave south of the village? Go there with the key you find in this forest. The windfish is watching. I mean, it's not Hebora Kibora, that's what you're saying. A couple more things added to the map there. Yeah, Rauru is not in this game. Yeah, so notice that combat is... So, you would see this in the original, too. Combat is based off of the LTTP version, and this is pretty much going to be the top-down combat standard for the next, like, several weeks of games we're going to be playing. So I hope you get used to this. Having said all of that, they make it work for several important reasons. First and most importantly, reach, and second of all, and also importantly, sweep. So, to improve immediately upon both Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, because you notice this is literally an improvement of Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. Rather than just attacking a thing right in the middle, just shunk, we actually attack in a nice big sweep, so we can hit things that are not immediately in front of us. And the range we hit out there, it's kind of hard to see, but if you're paying attention there, we are hitting further away in front of us than we are wide. In other words, we hit slightly more than a tile in terms of reach, which is awesome. Never Just Rob TV. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna not do it just to spite you. I was planning to, but now. Frickin' Chain Chomps. For the longest time, I didn't understand why Chain Chomps barked. I'm sorry, Talia, is that my hands are tied. I can't do it. Just Rob TV is making me do this. I have to. So for those of you who don't know... one second. For those of you who don't know, the original idea for the Chain Chomp, we actually talked about this last year, came from memories Miyamoto had as a child of being chased by dogs on chains. And so they wanted to implement that in Mario 3, so they did. So Chain Chomps have been dogs ever since, despite, you know, despite being Chain Chomps. And yes, there were actually Chain Chomps in LTTP in Turtle Rock. They suck. They hit like an absolute truck, even if you have armor. They are, I believe, the third hardest hitting thing in that game. Ganon is the hardest hitting thing. He hits... It's stupid the amount of damage he does. I mean, arguably, Ganon is higher tier than the Windfish. He just never gets anywhere with it. Like, you ever notice that? He could probably crush the Windfish if it came down to it. I mean, Lord knows he killed Jabu Jabu in Ocarina. Anyways. As a raccoon, my nose is very sensitive to stuff like dust and powder. You're gonna be lost thanks to me. And this is the other side of dream logic, which we were actually just talking about. Where if you try to get to a place and you can't reach it, because you're always just trying to reach it. Your mind never leaves the state of attempting to reach destination. I think Jabu Jabu's biggest influence on the setting is being a terrible dungeon. But anyways, I shouldn't say that. I don't think it's actually a terrible dungeon. Although it did... Well, okay. So he's got a shield. This is one of those changes I mentioned. Show it off properly. Really? Oh, alright, whatever. Beware of floors with cracks. Don't get too comfortable on them. Keys. Get out of here. Get out of here. So, to use my own terminology, I'm not a huge fan of the sprite work, the toy doll look, but I really love how the brickwork looks in this game, personally. I think a lot of effort was put into making this game look better than it has any right to, really. Oh yeah, no wallet shenanigans. Just like in LTTV, the wallet wouldn't be invented until Ocarina. Whoops. So thanks for that, Ocarina. I only like it when we're drowning to death, Pillars of Snow. Alright, let me remember how to do this. I think I can't? Yeah, I think I need the gloves. I think you're right, Talia. Yep, okay. Look, I'll show it off later. Trust me when I say we are absolutely adorable when we're drowning to death. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and admit to my great dismay that I was stuck on this part of the game for so long when I played this for the first time. I don't even really have a good reason why. I just was. I don't know. I'm just an idiot, I guess. I'll show off a pit when I have slightly more health in this. I would say combat is tougher than the original Game Boy version, but obviously having just played Zelda 2, I mean, you know. Also, keys can drop things. Granted, we are playing a Switch game, but trust me when I say Link's Awakening on the Game Boy is much improved over Zelda 2 in several respects. Well, now we are infinitely powerful. Die, monsters. Literally, I suppose. So these were added, I'm pretty sure, with the DX version. Yeah, they're more annoying than not, honestly. They refined a little bit how they operate in this version. But... Well, apparently they're in the OG. I should mention, I've never played the original version of this game. And I never will. Like I said, I played the Game Boy Color version, the DX version. Got it with my GBC. Yeah, they brought back, I can't remember her name. So there's like 3 women who have played Link over the years. And they brought back one of them for this one in particular. Did a pretty good job with it, too. My Bow Wow was so proud of his fine fur coat. Yep, yep. Oh, sorry, I need to talk to the other one. Yep. Maybe village. Might be a village. I don't know. Makeup, jewels, dresses. I want it all. And some new accessories would be nice. Also, giant cans of dog food over there. Oh yeah, by the way, the puppy's name is Chow Chow. As in goodbye, goodbye. Get it? Alright, there's a lot of dumb jokes in this one. I don't know what you want from me. Oh, yeah. Not Sao Sao. Although, that might have been the intent. And the only reason I know how to pronounce that is because I looked it up once, because the Three Kingdoms history is, like, hilariously interesting. Hilariously? Fascinatingly interesting. I don't know why that's hilarious. That's not hilarious at all. It's like the opposite of hilarious. Yeah, no, this is kind of the Majoras of LTTP. That's a good way to put that, Talia. Here, hang on. Sticker star. No, not that sticker star. It's just a star. Look, okay. Oh, God, is that it? That is the drowning clip. Oh, my God, Raven. I even put that in one of the highlight reels. Okay, what am I doing? Right. I don't know what I'm doing. Listen, it was 1 billion years ago, Bragon. Billion. With a B. I mean, in fairness, I moved almost a year ago. Like, in fact, hang on. Yeah, 1 week from today was the last time I moved. And if you were part of that, you know just how incredibly stressful and intense and disorienting that was. And there were, like, the in-betweeny streams from my phone, and then I was upstairs for a while, because this area wasn't even set up yet. Yeah, it was fun. Anyways, hey! Infinite power. So as you can see, no loading screens, by the way. I've kind of already shown this off a little bit, but it's a nice way to demonstrate it here. As you see, we have the River Zoras, or the Zolas, if you prefer. So if you're paying attention, this is literally all the only way we can go. We don't have the jump to go over the pits, and we don't have the ability to get rid of the blocks, which are blocking everything in the way. So, the only place we can go is right here. It has the sleepy toadstool, it does. We'll mix it up something in a jiffy, we will. Already it is. Take care. There's not much there. Why not try a bit of my hut? And now we can set that to that. Whoa. Good job. Use it on your enemies and see what happens. You run out, go to the forest, pick some toadstools. I'll make you more. Come back without a toadstool, and you may have to pay a price for my leftovers. Yeah, I wouldn't stir that way. And they immediately give us an enemy to use it on. And it just burns them to death. Wait, I'm supposed to talk to it? But I wanted to murder it. Okay, fine. I'm a changed blob. That's all I have to say. Now that I have lips, I fantasize about playing one of the island's songs on a flute. There are 3 hot local hits. All three of those blobby bops are magic. Literally. If no other tool will do the job, pull out one of those songs you got stuck in your head. Okay, and that's it. I'm gonna be real, I didn't know you could talk to that. Interesting. So you see what I mean, though, about the format of the Zelda series. We haven't even reached the first dungeon yet. And dungeons tend to be self-contained elements. So this is what I've talked about many times. This is your overworld. The connective tissue in between the dungeons. And usually with some activities to accomplish while you're here. So now we use this on him, because he gave us the hint earlier. And he physicses for a bit. And yes, the Mario character became a tanuki after eating a mushroom. Last thing I can remember was biting into a big juicy toadstool, and then I had the darndest dream I was a raccoon. Sounds strange, but sure was fun. Well, tuck it out. I think I better set a spell before I go home. Okay. The tail key. Take the key and go to the tail cave. Retrieve the instruments in here. Go now! The windfish is waiting. No, fighter jets are really hard to take off and land, Zactav. That would just be a bit of a disruption, don't you think? So if you decide not to listen to him, we actually can't go super far. Danger, keep out. Except for Bow Wow. That's really weird, Cyclone. Well, Rira speaking. You know, there's a library in the village. Oh, okay, so we haven't advanced his dialogue yet. So we can advance a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and not, but I'm just trying to demonstrate the fact that, once again, we don't have much room to operate because we're still pretty solidly on rails. Oh, by the way, did you notice the dynamic drop system from LTTP is now being used for this version? I don't remember if it was in the Game Boy version. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was. We almost can afford the shovel. I didn't even mean to hit that button, but whatever. I'll accept it. No more pacifist run for us. Get him away. Just those two, though. For some reason. Now, interestingly enough, they get rid of the blur completely in dungeons. Thank God. Probably because of visibility of puzzle design. I mean, if that blur was there in a lot of these rooms, you literally would not be able to see what you need to do to finish the puzzle, so that makes sense. I was just thinking something. I did not, Bella. I'm apparently blind. Did it not pop up? Nope, there it is. It was 8 minutes ago. I'm apparently blind. Who knew? Hey, Permanent Android. Hey, Rex. And thank you, Bella, very much. A very minor complaint. I think the decision to emphasize strings for the music remixes was not the greatest pick. I think they could have done better. A lot of the songs in the original are very bassy, and strings only work in bass register or octave if you do some fun stuff with it, which, That's going towards the Kingdom Hearts block. F16, Cyberpunk, and your favorite Zelda game. I was going to write down a positive. I just thought of a positive. Damned if I can remember what it is right now. It'll come to me. So similar to LTTP, a lot of the dungeon design is what I mentally think of as cellular. In other words, you're supposed to solve a room, not the dungeon. Later Zelda games would go in a different direction of that, where the puzzle you're supposed to solve is like for an entire swath of the dungeon. But here, generally speaking, if you solved a room, you can now forget that that room even exists and move on to the next room. That kind of thing. So, the compass is finally made useful for arguably the first time in the entire franchise, because it finally shows you where those wonderful treasure chests are. In addition to, you know, the boss. Also, because you have the compass, it'll give you a little bit of an audio cue. There's a secret in this room. Pretty sure that was in the original. I think you're right, Cycloud. Now we can see the map. And, interestingly enough, the map even labels things like one-way doors. It labels other different types of doors, too, if I remembering correctly. So that's two useful maps in this game. One in dungeon and one out. Whoops. And off you go. Oh, absolutely, Talia. I even mentioned that earlier. Not that I expected you were paying attention to me. I wouldn't pay attention to me either. Correct, Dean Medine. That's true for most of the game, too, especially the Overworld, which is mostly seamless. I mean, honestly, the fact that the original game ran as well as it did was a miracle, which you'd know because I've actually already said that. And yeah, I remember every time you'd hit a pot or whatever to lift it and accidentally didn't have the gloves equipped, and it would tell you, hey, you need the gloves to lift that. Every single time. I remember that. Yep, nope, it does label keys. Nice. And of course, the statue can't talk. It doesn't have its beak. Why is everything so cute? Is it trying to murder me? Also, just straight up spinies from Mario. And Goombas. I mean, is it even a Zelda game without Goombas? We got the jump. Yeah, they certainly seem to like the idea of the cute claymation thing at this era of the Switch's history, didn't they? And yeah, so, sorry, I should have actually mentioned this. Considering its roots, it doesn't really surprise me that this is, that there's a jump as the first option here. But at the same time, if you think about it from the perspective of the finished product, it makes perfect sense. They wanted to really showcase that this was a bit of a different Zelda game, and it really is. Which is funny, because it's only different in the past sense. It's only different from 1, 2, and 3. If you've played any future Zelda and you go back to this, it's like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, I got the jump button. Woohoo! I could jump from the beginning of the game in other games. Hi, Sean. Hi, Dickfish. God. I've got a little bit of muscle memory from Breath of the Wild throwing me here. I mean, so did Ocarina, really. Although in Ocarina they do something else with the jump. I was about to say, time to fail the no-death challenge. Sorry, Marin. What are you doing awake, Deckfish? Go to bed. Sleep, Deckfish. Sleep forever! Sorry. Oh yeah, I should... I can't I? I mean, I'll probably fail. Let's just be honest. I can beat Zelda 2 without cheats, but I can't beat Link's Awakening without dying. I can also beat Zelda 1 First Quest without cheats. I don't know if I get, like, props for that, though. Oh, I have, Dean. Although, actually, I've never seen... I take that back. I've never seen a speedrun of this version of the game. I mean, it's a Unity game, so I'm assuming you can just break the game in half. I have seen many speedruns of the original. God damn it, you asshole. the original, yes, and Arkham Axis. I believe they polished those off in the board. Now we have the beak. Turn aside the spinning ones with a shield. Well, no, but hang on. Before we progress, there were other beak things back there, weren't there? Let's go see what those beak things have to say. Also, pretty much borrowing straight up the hints in-game from Sahasrara. Although in this section, rather than just having to find a specific spot in the dungeon to hear it, you have to actually find the beak for that dungeon, and then you get access to it. Get it off! Get it off! Ah! Get it off! Get it off! Get it off! Get it off! Well, not only that, Talia, it makes so much dream logic sense they can't talk to you until they have their beak. There's a door you can't open, move a square block. Well, thanks. Turn aside the spined ones with the shield. Okay, nothing to do there. I was just curious. I just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to be sure. No need to be mad at me. I know you're flinging all your wine bottles at the screen right now. So, what are you doing drinking wine at this hour? Exactly an Arkham Axis. Mini boss time. Oh my god, quit it. God damn it. There's like a fruit fly or something that keeps trying to attack my face, and it's really distracting. Where are you, little jackass? Where are you? Where are you? Yeah, apparently I just stink really badly. Who knew? There you are. I'm actually pretty good at hunting flies, but it does take time, and that's really frustrating. But I really want this guy to go away, because he keeps nearly getting me killed. The fly is clearly just trying to prevent Marin from getting her secret ending. Oh my god. Ah. Whatever. Whatever. I free you. So, here's another really big thing, and I already told you this, that this game added to the franchise. Shortcuts. Now, these are kind of basic shortcuts, but future Zelda games would take this idea and run with it. Random example right off the top of my head. Ocarina of Time, Dodongo Caverns. Big cavern right in the middle of the dungeon. There's a lower right, a lower left, an upper right, and an upper left. And as you're progressing doing these little wings, it unlocks stuff in the middle that enable you to go immediately back to if you die, and just go right up to the next part of the dungeon. And eventually just go straight to the giant skull thing that actually opens up the middle. And we just lost connection to the internet, so that's perfect. Okay, and we've just regained connection to the internet, so that's perfect. It's a little weird, but I'm just not going to question it. Either way, point being, this is good. Shortcut dungeon design, awesome. I apparently have really bad connection right now, and I'm not sure why. Might be just whatever caused the blip there. Once it appears to be something on my end. Might be the storm? I don't know. Listen, Talia, you need to buy this stuff, okay? Buy this stuff, Talia. Buy the stuff, Talia. Are you buying it yet? Talia, are you spending money yet? Spend the money, Talia. Spend the money, paranoid android. Now, spend the money, Talia. I will say one thing that I don't really care for about this game. The jump is nice, but actually it's terrible. And if you play this game, you know what I mean, right? It's awkward and weird and wrong. And it's kind of hard to parse where you're at, or what your height is, or what your distance is. It's a very, jank jump. I think that's the best way to describe that. But first, we're going to fight the hardest boss of the game. A lettuce burger. Again, you can just skip the heart. We're not doing that, of course. Well, 2 charged hits, but yeah. I don't remember telling you. Swamp. I feel like that's an insult. The path opens in the blooms. I do like that they give you this little tidbit of a hint each time. Just a nice little thing. Let's see, Hitman 3. This guy, and Cyberpunk. Thank you as always, Judo Joker. Much appreciated. Ah! And then Ciella's like, no! I refuse to let you play this game. Thank you, Ciela. I will jot that down for the Ratchet & Clank block, Killzone, and Alundra. There's all kinds of moves going around here, apparently. Judo Joker. You got this, Bella. Alright, so how many do you want to guess that Bella's going to get stuck in one of the 3 major stuck points in the Water Temple? Because there are 3, and they all suck, and we'll talk about them when we get there. I know people over meme on the Water Temple, but no, the Water Temple is a badly designed dungeon. What's the name of the dungeon I just did? Tail Cave. Twilight Princess's Water Dungeon's great. I've never even heard of those people in Arkham Axis, which makes sense because they're on YouTube. Hey, Ross. Water Temple sucks. That's an instrument of the Sirens. I have to admit, at first I did not believe you were real. That instrument, along with the 7 others in its set, has the power to wake the windfish. You must collect them all. How does this start to give you directions? Your next goal is north in Gaponga Swamp. Hoot, indeed. I dislike the Shadow Temple more, but I think, like, from a review perspective, the Water Temple will score worse. Hey, buddy, it's serious. It's really serious. Yeah, it is. The Moblins came to the village. That's right, a whole gang of Moblins. And then, it's for real, they all went to the house. Yeah, that house. And then they did something at Bow Wow's house. It was a really bad scene with the Moblins. So, I mean, ah! Yeah, let's find out for ourselves what happened. Music, visuals, and distinction. In no particular order, Paranoid Android. They also like to lean a little bit too heavily on some jumping puzzles in a game in which there's no jump button. It's terrible. My Bow Wow was dog-napped by the Moblins. Please, someone help my poor Bow Wow, please. Good Lord, Spartan. Was all of that the traffic? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention something. So, well, I'll hold on to it. I'll hold on to it. Yeah, we'll hold on to it. I didn't mean to, Talia. Spartan, I'm gonna need you to stop causing accidents on the road. It's getting a little weird. I already talked to her? I don't even remember. Let's go talk to this. Oh yeah, the Kuko thing already existed by this game. That was invented for LTTP. Most moblins live in the mysterious forest, but some live in the caves of Tall Tall Heights. Jesus, Braglin. What, you don't like the danger music, Darch Monster? Listen, Spartan, I'm not going to commit seppuku today. Maybe. I mean, there were definitely some deadly birds in the Grand Palace. I can't deny that. So, SimCity reference. By the way, fun fact, not many people know this. SimCity on the SNES, and I only found this out very recently, was a lot of the actual core Nintendo team worked on it. Obviously, they did have some people from Maxis involved, but for the most part, the game was actually designed by the Nintendo offices. Go figure.
Yeah.
Pretty much stick to myself, me and my letters. My name's Right! One thing I don't like about my hobby is that I never receive a response. Aww. Poor guy. Amount of money. So we need the bracelet before we can do that. Whoa! Oh yeah, sorry. So, hey, I have now unintentionally showed it off. Check it out. Falling into a pit doesn't instantly kill you. Zelda 2. I know. They actually invented that for LTTP, but god damn it. It really is one of the worst aspects of that game. Not even joking. Live system. Sorry, didn't mean to pick that up. To make it up to you, I'll kill that moblin. Actually, I can get through here this way, can't I? Find out in a second. Yeah, instant death is rarely a good mechanic. There are some exceptions to that, but they are few and far between. Oh, that looks like I actually cannot get away from there. Alright, whatever. Like, instant death works in Celeste. And I'm struggling really hard to come up with another example. Well, Oko modes is kind of different. That's not really instant death. I know it sounds weird, but I mean that. An Oko mode, especially a good Oko mode, is a very carefully and well-designed difficulty option. Instant death is when something kills you instantly because screw you. The Windfish in name only, for it is neither. When I was playing this for the first time, that one just stuck with me for some reason. I'll explain why more later, but all I'll say right now, for those of you who will not be there for later, is when we finally met the Windfish, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. Like, I actually thought there was something wrong with my Game Boy, because it's like, what? What is this? What is this thing? I was a bit thrown. What is you doing here so early? Can't come in yet. I'm still setting up. We're close to Tall Heights. Who's this suspicious-looking runt? Right, boys, let's get rid of him. Look, I didn't add that accent. It's right there in the text. That's gonna make this funny. It must be an assassin sent by Madame Meow Meow to rescue the mutt. He came here to get me, but it is I who will get you. I might die here, holy crap. saved Bow Wow. What a fearsome beast. Come with me, Bow Wow. Yeah, fun fact. So, there's a tiny little tidbit. You need Bow Wow to access the next dungeon. But also, there's a part of the next dungeon which can only be... I'm saying this wrong. If you don't have Bow Wow, you can't go back into the next dungeon. So they get rid of that in this version. Instead, it's just a stone, which can be gotten rid of with the bracelet. That is a fearsome-looking animal you have there. Do not forget, the next instrument is in the Kapanga Swamp, which happens to be right frickin' next to you. ISP, which just to make sure I don't forget. Oh, you can zoom in, too. Check it out. I really do unironically like this map. In fact, do you notice it lists individual rocks and bushes, too? I might actually increase the positives for this map. This is a really good map. Can I seriously not get there here? Okay, it's only a short side trip. The sound effect sells it. This is what we call a reverse escort, when an NPC escorts you. Yep, Chomp Chomp. Chain Chomp is my spirit animal, apparently. Oh, you want me to dig here, babe? Go, babe? There we go. Done. Eat them all, my minion. Eat them all. Please, eat them. There we go. In their last moments of life, they knew only screaming agony as they were chewed into tiny bits. Stop chewing on that flower, please. Yeah, I was wondering what was taking him a minute, Pithy Panda. Oh, well, there you go. Thank you. That's the positive I was going to give. Thank you. One of my favorite songs. I'd say probably my third favorite song of this game. I know my favorite. That's an easy one. Second favorite's a little trickier. Thus did the switches return to our lives. From LTTP, again. Although they do some fun things here. Oh yeah, and also Shy Guys. Another Dreamland thing. Although Shy Guys are in tons of Mario properties nowadays, so whatever. Oh, excuse me. There we go. Spell posts are a little bit of an easier thing to deal with nowadays. So one thing they did that's kind of different, and this is true in the original as well, you can stand on a platform when it gets switched up, which can be used to bypass a couple of things. And I feel like is mandatory for at least one puzzle later. Don't quote me on that, though. That's true, Get Judas. You can do that in LTP, kinda, but I feel like they didn't really intend that in LTTP. It might be that inspired this, though. I don't know. Food for thought. Fly is still there. No. Oi, these fighting. Hurts too, I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't know if this is our first Hinox. In fact, no, I think it isn't, because we had this in LTP. I think, yeah, this is our second Hinox in the franchise. Considering how much of this was supposed to be an LCT port, it makes sense that there's so many elements from it, but I don't think I ever really processed it before. Shortcut get. Ow. I think we want to backtrack now? Shoot, hang on. Oh yeah, this room. I don't know why this room was always so hard for me as a kid. I don't have a good answer for that. It just was. Keys. Do we have no keys right now? We do. Oh, they're right there. I see them. I see them. I'm blind. Again. Booze now. With boo sound effects. At last! You can pick up pots and stones. There's the prettiest sound in any video game ever. Ask anyone who's played a Dark Souls game. Yeah. My nemesis from Zelda 1 again. Yeah, that guy's a little stronger than I thought. But we can best him. You're not stronger than me, boy. Well, shoot. I accidentally went the right way. Damn. Well, over here. I haven't made a manual save in a while. Let's do that. I didn't mean to go the right way. I'm sorry, game. I hate that when I accidentally go the right way in a dungeon. Really, I do. It happens a lot. I'm like, okay, I want to get all the side content and, like, treasure and extra stuff first. So I'm going to go this way, because clearly this is not the right way. And it goes straight to the end of the dungeon. Ignore these definitely not pipes. They're not pipes. You're saying things. Yeah, Nintendo should sue. I think they have a pretty strong case. This is clear plagiarism. Okay. Yep. There's just two spots we didn't go to. One and the other. Yeah, no, that's what I thought. Where the hell's the beak, then? That's weird. Hey, Orange Deku. How's your day going? Well, there's a small puzzle up there, and normally the beak tells you the order. But I didn't get the beak, so I'm not 100% sure what the order is. So I'll just ask chat. Does anyone remember what the order is? Save me a quick Google. It's okay, getting to the end of the dungeon is easy because... shortcutting. Pole key Stalfos. Thank you. See, I remember there was an order. was. See, I kind of have a downward thrust. It's not quite the same. Come on. There we go. And there's our boss key. I'm gonna guess the thing in the lower left is just where the beak is, because I'm out of keys. Yeah, alright, whatever. Yeah, I always find it amusing how they would program things back in the day. I actually already pointed this out recently during the Metroid run. But the way that Metroid 2 works is the way that it tells you've beaten the game is it checks for if you've killed a certain number of Metroids, aka the amount of Metroids in the game, and then the moment you hit a missile station, it triggers the end of the game. Now, you can play with that a bit, obviously, but, you know, either way, there's a missile station back in your ship, so there you go. I'm thinking an animation positive, too. I'm your bad guy this time. Clown genie man thing. Juggler, fireball mage. You can't hurt me as long as I have my bottle. You make me hopping mad. Yeah, I think we're about to die. That's okay. I accept. Yes. Thank you, silly idea. Always appreciate. Over here. Listen, nobody likes Marin anyways. Come on. Mortis Ghost. Thank you, silly idea. Kingdom Hearts block. And prototype. I honestly just completely forgot how part of the phase worked. That's on me. So he hit me a few times essentially for free because I was like, alright, now to grab him. And he's like, bonk. I'm a dummy. Oh no. I accidentally closed the game. It's weird how that works out. Anyways, so. Why are you friends with an eldritch horror, Lord Heremont? Do I want to know why you're friends with an eldritch horror? Death 0. It tells you on the save. Although I think this is right before I had to backtrack a little bit. That's okay. Because it starts me at the beginning. When you load a save in a dungeon, it puts you back to the beginning. There's a shortcut right there. Oh, that sucks, lady. I hope to see you on the VODs at least. This is... yeah, right here. Although now I'm curious, if we don't get the big door... what's over here? Ah! Okay, hi. Oh, do you mind? Listen, whatever you do, don't watch the fusion run. That's all I ask of you. Don't watch the fusion run. Watch all the rest of them, but not fusion. That's a good question, Talia. So now we have the dust, but we're missing a key now, and we need that key. So where's the other key? Where's the key we missed? Unless it's there. That might make sense. Watch any Metroid VOD except for one and Fusion. There are many reasons why Link's Awakening is before LTTP. But the biggest and most important one is I put the 3 best 2D Zelda games back to back. That really is the reason why, right there. I might actually rejigger the order a little bit. I might go LTTP, then 4 Swords, then Link Between Worlds. In fact, I'm going to commit to that right here and right now. Boom. Link is adorable in this. Wait until he drowns. I'll show you adorable. Yeah, I guess it's pick between the beak or the there's got to be a key I'm missing. There's no way they actually want me to pick between beak or compass. I mean, they're both optional items. It's just kind of strange. I'd say it'll be weird to replay LTTP without doing it in randomizer order. But I've done that recently. I did a theater on LTTP. You should go watch it. Plug, plug, plug. Yeah, there's got to be a key I'm missing somewhere. I just don't know what or where. Not like it matters. It's just weird. That's true. Talia's in that one. I mean, Talia's in all of them. We have yet to do a work that Talia has not done some voice acting for. No, I'm good, Dragon Player. Although it is funny because I don't have the compass. Let's go ahead and grab that hard save. Hey, Czar. So now we're gonna die. Wow, Lord Hermont. Anyways. You, might have made a mistake there. I'm just letting you know. Yes, this is the remaster, sir. actually kind of like that the boss flat out tells you how to damage him. Legitimately. Throwing him against the wall is not something I would consider very intuitive elsewise. This is a remaster. There's a decent amount of stuff changed, but it's all quality-of-life polishing features, which is the purview of a remaster. And then there's the blur. So, that's cool. DX version, Vandalia. The color dungeon's even in this one. Although obviously it's not quite as big of a deal as it was last time. Could have died from that. We're fine. Dungeon to get. Whoops. The prairie. The prairie dogs. The prairie dogs are waiting. Okay. Now, we've kind of hit our first freedom point. Because if you've been paying attention, these rocks have been the main thing that's been blocking us in a huge amount of areas. Eat them! Eat them alive, my minion! Consume their delicious bacony flesh. You know, honestly, I mean, they came really close in Twilight Princess Orange Deku, if you remember. Also, one of my favorite items in that game, just for the sheer viscerality of it. Oh, hey, Dompe. Hey, you made it out here. That speaks well of you. Maybe you can help me with a little job. I'm Dompe. My job around this island is to dig up interesting stuff. When you have some time to spare, come see me in Mushire. Hey there. There you are. I want to show you something interesting. You've gone poking into the ruins of this island. I can tell. I make little chambers based on those dungeons. Put some chambers into the slab back there. It turns into a real dungeon. How's that work, you ask? Who knows? I want to help testing the limits of this thing. I want to hear about the dungeons you've seen. It inspires me to make new chambers. With a few chambers, you can make basic dungeons. With a bunch, you can make complicated ones. No, he was added in well after Ocarina, Vandalia. Dompe goes back to 90-something. This came out in 2019. 20-plus years later. So this is Baby's first dungeon mode. It's not terrible, but it's very plug and play. You literally have preset rooms based on already existing dungeons, and they have rule sets. You know, they've got 1 exit, 2 exits, or 3 exits, boss, and entrance. And that's it. That's the format. Could be a Dean Badine. I should mention there are no less than 2 separate Zelda makers out there. Neither of them have Zelda in the name, but they're Zelda makers. Damn it. I think I missed it. Oh well. Almost had it. Have chests everywhere. It's gonna be like your typical harem anime. Worth it. It's always worth dying for money. Yeah, these are a pretty good source of money if you want to really get tons, by the way. Not the greatest method in the world, but I mean, it is what it is. And yeah, if you're paying attention, you can probably recognize both of the rooms we just went through. Oh yeah, I forgot to go get the other chest. One rupee. Sweet. Worth it. I feel bad about the keys being dragged into oblivion. Yeah, me neither. I don't know, we've only gotten like 40 rupees in here so far. I guess it's better than nothing. music for these two. Dragon Questy. No, you're absolutely right, Blitchwell. I actually mentioned that earlier as one of the improvements in this game, in this version, I should say. Lettuce burgers! Sure. There are times I swear you had one foot in the grave. A throw like that deserves something from my collection. More chambers. There's a lot of extra side stuff you can do in this game to get all the chambers. We're not doing all those. So what do you think about the Zelda dungeon arranging mode thing? Because it is a minigame and it does need to be reviewed. It does definitely exist. Why the mice? Hi there, big guy. I'm Crazy Tracy. I got a little secret for sale that'll pump you up. 42 rupees for my secret. No, I'm good, thanks. Only offering you a secret that'll make you strong. You're such a chicken. Yeah, you want money, lady. If an attractive woman asks you for money, always tell her no. You know, I don't actually know Bladeful. For just a second, I thought she was asking for like half my money, and then I realized I have more than that. Go away, zombies. Oh, weird. I wonder if it's just purely random Bladeful. Which version are you playing? It's because I can bomb it, but no. Or I guess you know that. Sorry. I'm trying to remember where a specific cave is. I think this isn't it, but we'll go ahead and hit this one. Yeah, it looks like hookshot. I mean, he... Oh, dig. I wonder why Jiggly's saying. Hey, kid! You woke me up from a fine nap. Thanks a lot. But now I'll get my revenge. You ready? I'll let you carry more magic powder. Are you ready? Yeah. You deserve it. Now look at all that extra junk you gotta carry. Take care. See you again. I don't know. Well. Let me get this while I was thinking about it. Affleck. Sorry, what? Okay. I suppose we should go turn this poor dog back in. So we rescued it quite a while ago. Although if you want to keep eating them, I'm okay with it, Bow Wow. I mean, that would be awesome, Bella. I have become the incarnation of power. I am the Demon King of... What is that you've got with you? Oh, this is a chain shop. And the last thing Ganon sees in the last few seconds of his life is these solid metal teeth lunging at him. I really appreciate what you did for my poor precious Bow Wow. You're such a nice boy. How can I repay you? I know. Thanks. It's not what I wanted, but thanks. I mean, she's a terrible author, Mr. Floyd Bickerton. But yeah, she was fired a while ago. Probably for the better. Yeah, that's how we finally break the cycle. I was hungry something fierce, so I went and got bananas at the beach. Laura, if you want some, you should go get some. They've got bananas at the beach? Oh my god, you're right. He's a Yiga! Alright, let's get this over with. Let's play the trendy game. Nope. Yep, no. You're welcome, Mr. Red. Oh, come on, it's right there.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a reason I don't read the Warcraft books anymore, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. It's because they suck. Yoshi Doll, you can't count how many games he's been in now. You and the Yoshi Doll. We've been trying to do that forever. Our mom was really desperate to have one. In case you haven't already talked to her. A lot of guidance in this game. In a good way. Will you give me that Yoshi doll to my baby? Yeah. Thank you. You're indeed a generous person. I'll give you this in return. A ribbon. Aw, there's crayon drawings on the floor, too. How strange. Oh, I guess I'll just take a nap. Ugh. And now we're playing Inception. Wow. Okay. We just lost a lot of progress, I think. Let's double check something here. Anyways, tomorrow we'll be no, well, that still says 0 deaths, so I'll take that. I think I want the bow before I do this. I didn't realize it would just murder me that fast. Let's get out of here. Let's wake up before we wake up. Oh yeah, let's save. For no reason. Speaking of the bow, where are we at on that? Ugh. Let's buy this first. I would like to buy this, please. Okay. Do a bit of lawn care while we're here. I know, right, Rex? But we would never steal. We're not a thief. Yes, I will give you a ribbon. In exchange for dog food. It's full of juicy beef. Oh, that sounds good. I wish I had dog food right now. Damn it. Probably because it's not actually dog food, but yeah, you're right. And then there's that homemade stuff. Have you ever looked into that? Like people who cook their own dog food? No judgment, no, it's just, you know. They spent some effort on that. What's that you have? Canned dog food. For heaven's sakes, man, give it to me, please! I'm gonna lose it if I can't give that can. Oh, thank you. You're supposed to take it out of the... That was great! I know it's not a fair trade, but here's some bananas. Thanks. Well, now I got some nanners. Possibly tetanus. Nice place. Yeah, nobody's used this in a while. Oh, goodness. Looks like a Dragon Quest Builders room. Oh, well. Nothing important, I'm sure. So, for probably the first time in the entire game, we don't have any direct guidance. There's an area we haven't been to, which we now can go to, thanks to the bracelet. And we did get these bananas. So let's go back into town real quick here. I do feel kind of bad killing those little spiny things. They're just sitting there, I'm like, hey! They also look like they pop like a balloon. Although I guess most enemies in this game look like that. Also, we can always check the hint. I need to remember to write that down, too. God. So many things to write down. Yeah, now we're playing Control. Have you been over on the island? There's a man named Richard who lives in Pothole Field, just southeast of the village. You should pay him a visit. Well, it's been a long day. Good night, sleep tight. Don't let the bedbugs bite. Are you gonna keep playing? They say to work yourself to death when you're young. I know I'm screwing up the quote. I apologize. Okay. We should be able to kill Terran for being a Yiga, I think. Although I guess technically he's just a Sheikah, but whatever. Here's the other big new area we can go to right here. I'll take those rubies. That's what I want. Then we're going to reset the room. I wonder if it's for puzzle reasons that they reset the rooms as they go. I don't know. I'm not sure how to get that. Ah, okay. Duh. God, you can tell I'm tired. I apologize. I should just rebrand myself. The Tired Runner. Okay, today, guys, we're going to be playing this game that exists called Flark's A Dreaming. Or Dreaming Island is actually what this is originally called in Japanese. A little on the nose, but you know. In fact, one of the biggest reasons they rebranded it was they were worried it gave away the twist a little bit too easily. Sulu's right here. Well, like I said, I'm currently suffering a fever. Oh, maybe I didn't tell you about that, actually. Yeah, so during the break, the reason I was so late in coming back is I decided to lay down for a minute, and I was just shivering. Like, just laying in my bed in, like, a warm room, curled up into a tiny ball, shivering like crazy because of how cold I was. So that's probably where that's coming from. In the interest of fairness, I should probably cut off early today in order to try and accommodate the fact that I am probably currently sick. But first, let's at least reach the next dungeon. I feel like that would be a good pause point. So now we have some teleports, and you can see them on the map, and fast travel. Good fast travel, too. God, look at that score. It's just so refreshing after the last 3 games we just played in a row. You know? Is that just me? Is that just satisfying to see that there and just be like... yes. Yeah, just having a good game. Just a good game to play. It's really nice. It's just a relief. I know we all like to just bash bad games, and there's a value in bashing a bad game, no question. There's also a value in reviewing a bad game. But it is nice every now and again to be like, hey, look, the opposite. And yeah, I know, Breath of the Wild wasn't actually that bad. But Breath of the Wild certainly started off a little bit rough, probably because we front-loaded a lot of the negatives, because most of them were system negatives. System negatives and content positives. Yet my sandals no longer have glass in them. Thank God. So I can't go here until I have the hook shot. Not that I know that, but honestly, I can figure that out anyways, just looking at it. This is also a hook shot, so those are both those barriers are locked in. I can't go this way until I have the bombs. So the only place we haven't really been that we need to check out, I can get rid of this now, is up in the graveyard. It's wild to think of how much of the map we already have explored, by the way. Check that out. This isn't even a long game. That's just great. It's a good game. That's short. I mean, all Zelda games are kind of short-ish, you know. There's not a lot of super long Zeldas. Even the Meteor ones are only like 20 hours. I mean, we'll finish this game tomorrow, almost guaranteed. Watch, now I'm going to eat those words. Okay, this is the path I was already through, right? Yes, and that's where I also need the long shot. Yeah, there's no second quest that just magically makes the game much worse. It's weird how that works out. Yeah, this game doesn't respect my intelligence. Oh, that's interesting. It even tells us where the ones we've gotten are. And where the seashells we've gotten are. Now, that's actually kind of cool, because you're probably wondering, what's the point of showing me where the thing is I've already gotten? So that when you go to look up the thing you're missing, you can see, I already got that one, that one, that one, and that one. That's actually pretty solid. Yeah, the map, I'm really leaning towards giving... I already gave another positive for it. This is a really solid map. I'm actually pretty impressed. Oh yeah, and in case I forgot what it said, it tells me to go to the prairie next. Again, the log. In fact, I already have a category. We don't actually bring up this category very often. It's called a positive, or it's called a log. I don't know why I said that. Let's see. So we can't get up there. Go now. I know it wants me to go down here. I believe we need the bag. Hi, Sevlenop. And yeah, it's nice to finally be playing a really good Zelda. I'm sorry, I know I'm being insulting towards people who like Zelda 1 and 2, and I really don't mean it that way. If you like Zelda 1 and 2, then that brings me nothing but joy. Really. I mean that. It's just... Man, those games have been taxing on me, you know? Hey, I didn't even mention Breath of the Wild 1. It was Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. I just said it, it's Ross. Don't look at me like that. I mean, Breath of the Wild is such a weird game. Because it really is a solid game with a lot of good in it. It's just all the bad has sufficiently designed in such a way that I really just never want to play the game again. I mean, I know I'm not alone in that. I know there are plenty of people who look at Breath of the Wild and they're like, yeah! But I'm gonna go play Tears. You know? Ah, there it is. I knew there was something I was missing. Yay, for being a dumbass. Actually, my ass is pretty smart. Graduated from Harvard. Yeah, trust me, I am quite curious how Tears will do. So, you want to hear my favorite song of the game? The wind flish. Flish? The wind fish sleeps long and dreamily in the egg above. When you play the 8 instruments of the sirens in front of the egg, he will awaken. This, my friend, is the only way for you to leave this island. Oh, sorry, this still is not my favorite song. I forgot that was even a thing. This is it. All the music in this game is a remix. So, yes. Spanish going. To speak in deference to Breath of the Wild, I've already noticed at least 2 mechanics in this very game that we're playing that it owes to Breath of the Wild. Which I suppose is just Breath of the Wild's legacy in a nutshell, isn't it? It really was a beta test for a lot of other features. In this case, if you're wondering, the map and the save system, both of which feel lifted straight out of Breath of the Wild. The saves, the frequency of the autosaves, the way that they load, all of that just screams Breath of the Wild system. It's even pretty swift and smooth, just like it is in Breath of the Wild. Take that. Well, I'll be sure to ask about what you think of my second favorite song of this one year once we get there. It's one of the dungeon songs, I'll give that away. Okay, that cool. Yeah, let's just reset the board there. We're already up to 270 rupees after having bought both 200 rupee items. Not too shabby. One hell of a throw. Jesus. Yeah, that's impressive, honestly. That man needs a career change. Here we go. More teleport spots are always good. Oh yeah, you can do a little bit of sequence breaking in this one. Nowhere near as much as the previous Zeldas. Like in Zelda 1 where you can do most of the dungeons out of order. Nah. Even in LTTP you can do several dungeons out of order. In fact, I usually do on accident in LTTP. Can't do that here. When I was setting up for the theater, I actually had to specifically remind myself of the intended order of the dungeons in the Dark World, just to make sure I didn't screw it up. But here you have to kind of work at it. Probably Yura. This is usually the one I hear of as one of the fan favorites. This along with Majora's. The two weird ones, for lack of a better way to call that. Makes sense, though. This one established a lot of the series' norms and really laid the groundwork for what Zelda would become. And Majora's was in many ways a refinement of what had come before, as well as a massive experiment that's never been repeated while we're on the subject. Hold on a sec. No, I guess that is where it wants me to go. Okay, never mind. Well, it's okay, because I'm going to warp there pretty quickly. Wong. I love me some Zelda fast travel. Although, in the interest of total honesty, this actually isn't fast travel yet. It will eventually become fast travel, but at the moment it's actually a waypoint system. We'll get there. We need to have a chat with a fish first. Yeah, I think Ocarina is the FF7 of the Zelda series. Or put another way, I think Ocarina is the TNG of the Zelda series. And it's always funny because FF7's a good game, and TNG is a good show. But you can see why it's kind of a little bit different from the one that the fans consider the best, right? Do I enjoy the combat of FF7 R1? Oh, it's been too long. I don't remember. Real answer. Yeah, exactly, Pillars of Stone. Ocarina is the one everybody knows. Ironically, Ocarina gained so much popular appeal almost for the exact same reason that FF7 did. Gaming was at an unprecedented boom of entering into the availability of people who weren't gamers. A whole bunch of people were able to play games, and it was getting much more widespread and acceptable to play games in the PS1 and the N64 era. So, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII, Ocarina of Time, Mario 64. These games exploded not just because of the quality of the games, which is, you know, that's its own thing, but because of their unique positioning in gaming history. Well, Breath is kind of the Final Fantasy X of the Zelda series. Another extremely popular console that absolutely exploded into popular consciousness and was a lot of people's first entry into a long-standing series. What really obvious thing am I missing here? I know I'm tired, but I don't actually remember where to go right now. I'm almost positive this is where I want, but I don't even have the key yet. Don't I want to get over here? But I don't know how to get over here because I can't reach here. At least I don't think I can. I'm almost positive this is a hookshot stretch right here. Yeah, if Tears is 10 too, then what can I do for you? Go ahead, Jiggly Sand. I'm sorry. I think I'm just having trouble connecting the dots in my head because that whatever's going on with my feverish self is starting to hit me. Richard. Who the hell's Richard? If you're going to tell me that this alligator's Richard, I'm going to be slightly upset. Because I did talk to Richard, and his response was, "Thanks for the dog food. Have some bananas." Okay. Well, he did say, you need to go to Richard. He's southeast of town, near the potholes. Oh, goddammit, I didn't see that path right there. That's what I was missing. Alright, hang on, hang on. I told you there was just something really small and dumb I was missing. It's always something small and dumb. Every single time. No, Laura, you're going the wrong way. Well, how many rupees do we have? 300. We're actually doing pretty decently on our way to the bow. Yeah, that stair right there. This is what I missed. There we go. Ooh, okay. I mean, I actually think I own Oceanhorn. Here, hang on, let me double check that really quick. I might have it on something else, but let's double check. Oceanhorn. Yeah, I do have it right there. Yeah, it looks like the tall grass does slow you down. Go figure. Anyways, thank you. Rabbit. Rabbit. I think I've played none of it, Yura.
Yeah.
You would know by the look of me, but I used to live in the castle. My servants went berserk. I was forced to flee my villa. So you're looking for something, are you? I may have just what you're after. First, I want you to retrieve the golden leaf I left behind in the castle when I fled. To tell the truth, there are 5 leaves, and I want them all. Okay, I'll need to do some digging, so buy a shovel. Yeah, so make sure you have the shovel by this point. Yeah, I heard good enough things and I got it on sale, so, you know. You know how it is. Oceanhorn, yep, one word. Alright, let's just start with the 2 done, right? Is there anything over here? Nope. Well, hang on, hang on. We haven't even gotten to the seashell castle yet. Is that for a random thought? God dang it. So, all Links, are canonically left-handed, Czar. However, in some of the games, there's some concern with that being a problem for the players because the overwhelming majority of players are right-handed. So for some of the games, they swap it. But as you can see, right here, Link is currently left-handed. He is a Sinistral. Sinistral. Left-handed. Yeah, dextral and sinistral. I am dextral, for example. Yeah, and hence ambidextrous, if you are both. See, I usually hear this one called the existential one. Oops, said that. Cashel. There we go. I was right. It is a hookshot spot. And yes, it's always amused me that they called the evil ones the Sinistrals in Lufia. There's some old-handed, very, very old-fashioned cultural biases and prejudices against being left-handed, which is probably at least part of where that comes from, and indeed why the word sinister tends to have similarities in terms of etymology to sinistral. And for those of you familiar with how people used to go to the bathroom, there was the hand of cursing and the hand of blessing, which was tied into that too. Hand of blessing, hand of cursing. So that's why this is always creative, but this is always destructive. Real talk, if you actually pay attention, and they did do this on purpose, when he does the snap, Thanos does snap his left hand, and at the end of Endgame, it's the right hand. There's actually an extraordinary amount of little details like that in those movies, which... It always amuses me to hear just the insane amounts of details people will put into a work that most people never even noticed. Well, I do like being Hitler, who is a fascist who commits suicide, Trihexia. Oops. Keep hitting the wrong button here. But if I had to live, if I had to survive for like X amount of time in a Zelda game, I probably could, but how well I would do would probably depend on the specific Zelda game. Hey, good thing I brought the bananas here for Kiki. I didn't have 110 rupees this time, so... appreciate you. You found a stick. We'll give it to an idiot later who will suffer for his idiocy. Oh, I almost never pick up on religious symbolism and stuff. I mean, if this is after the Oracle's games, then yeah, this Link is pretty well experienced. It's probably partially why he lands on an unknown island and immediately just starts bodying everything without real hesitation. Like, this is a Link who is a veteran of 3 separate adventures at this point. So, do you mind if I spoil the hell out of this game? Just while I'm sitting here. So you see, it turns out it was in fact his sled. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. No spoilers. Although we do have a warp point. Come on, game. There we go. Right before the Seashell Mountain. Speaking of which, let's see what we can get from that, shall we? Third of the way to the bow. That's true, Hitler did die. From suicide, after being a fascist. What do we got? What do we got? A heart piece. Nice. I'll take it. Yeah, the only Link I would say actually challenges LTTP Link in terms of raw power. Not counting Breath of the Wild Link, because I haven't played Tears yet. So let's ignore that for a second. So, LTTP, and then Zelda 2, believe it or not. First of all, he managed his entire adventure in Zelda 1. And then Zelda 2 comes around, and he's not only a seasoned warrior, but he's a capable and accomplished mage. Like... I mean, the fact that he knows the Thunder spell alone is kind of impressive. But he can also turn into a fairy and fly, heal himself, give himself a magical shield, increase his jump capacity, etc., etc., etc. Like, he's a straight-up red mage. Or traditional paladin, like Final Fantasy paladin in Zelda 2. Now, in terms of physical combat prowess, that's probably Breath of the Wild Link. Dude was a beast, and could fight things way above his pay grade. With a sword. The only one I think who could match Breath of the Wild Link in terms of just raw physical capacity would be Twilight. Skyward Link, well, he's pass. Okay. Doubles my attack power, very good. In all honesty, I don't have clear enough memories of Skyward to really gauge that. That's why I just kind of walked over that. So the anti-fairies for the adventure. Ocarina Link is pretty high up. Not the highest. I would put Ocarina Link below Zelda 2, L2TP, and Breath. But Ocarina would probably be next after that. As Majora's showed, he was pretty well skilled and versed, and obviously carried his skills over into Twilight. Wind Waker Link is actually pretty low tier by the standards of most of them, but in a way that makes perfect sense. Like, I in no way mean that an insult. It's just, given the setting and given the circumstance and the apocalypse, or the post-apocalypse, rather, that he was living in, he wasn't really fighting anything that was particularly high tier compared to what a lot of the other Links have to deal with. He also just didn't have the level of kit they did. That makes sense. It's the post-apocalypse, right? Oh, I just have bombs now. So, how many of you were stuck here for a very long time? So you notice the... I actually talked about this earlier. They made a new icon for the door, just to indicate, hey, this is what you're supposed to do here. Yeah, exactly, Jiggly's saying. Yeah, no, I was stuck here for a minute. I am not ashamed to admit. 2 bombs. Ah. Yeah, there's a reason I often refer to the GameFAQs era as being just kind of a sea change for how a lot of people played games. Myself included. It's okay, I can just look something up. Holy crap. I admittedly have very few memories of Minish Cap. I've only really played through it the one time. Oh, definitely for better, Rain 36. Now, having said that, obviously, no excuse for game design, but game designers have been designing things for walkthroughs since the NES era. So it's not like the GameFAQ era suddenly changed people's design philosophies. The biggest thing I remember about Minish is it being surprisingly difficult. Like, at a certain point in the game just gets mean. Let's see what we think of it this time around. You know, blur problem aside, I'm pretty grateful, Mr. Red, I'll admit it. Where's he getting all his bombs from? I guess don't answer that. And yeah, I don't want to be too dismissive, but strategy guides were wrong plenty of the time, too. Obviously, Nintendo Power is somewhat infamous for that. But there's several guides I've bought over the years, especially Prima guides and Brady Games guides, which are just straight up wrong, which would just give inaccurate information. And that can lead to some frustration, let me tell you. Underground bomb plantation. I mean, we know that the Goron's special fruit is a thing. What am I missing? Yeah, or just straight up missing stuff. Now, Versus guides was usually pretty good. I remember them fondly. Oh, don't even get me started about that stupid F9 guide. It's probably one of the worst examples of its era. Oh. Ugh. Excuse me. Yeah. Play online. No, I'm good, thanks. This one am I going to cut off early? I cannot seem to find this fifth leaf. I think it's out here. I don't feel like it's out here. This guy's just like, bomb suspicious spots, and it's like, yeah, I already did that. Yeah. Hey, what was that? Okay. That's an actual honest-to-God hint. In-game. Which is actionable. Holy crap. Now, there were a few strategy guides that were really, really good back in the day. Obviously, there's the Earthbound one, the Final Fantasy VI one, the Versus one. There were two Versus ones I like, Pokemon Gen 2 as well as Final Fantasy VII. I even referenced that one of those during one of my runs. There's also the FF6 one, which was pretty solid. It sure does, Jabez, which is why I've already given it. I think it was 10-2 was a pretty solid one. Me and a friend of mine were doing one of those backseat runs, and I was often on the strategy guide while he was playing 10-2. So, yeah, a lot of good info there. I mean, I think statistically speaking, most of my guides were fine too, Gavator. I was just mentioning it because someone mentioned how game facts can suck, and it's like, well, guides can suck too, you know. Anything can suck. Except me. Also, really quick, this has nothing really to do with anything, but can we take a moment to acknowledge the hero? I don't remember his name, that wrote all of those BMP maps on GameFAQs, like 4,000 of them or something like that. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's a very unique style of those maps, and they're all really good. And they're for so many games. That dude deserves a medal. And recognition and praise. Ah, très bien. I see you've recovered all the leaves. Now move this statue and you'll find your reward. Worst Trumple in Twilight Princess? Oh, that's tough. So I don't think any dungeon in Twilight Princess will get a negative. Let me just start with that. So what you're asking me is which dungeon in Twilight Princess will score the worst? Now, put a gun to my head. My first thought, my knee-jerk answer, would be the City in the Sky. Because... But... I don't think, like, objectively, fairly, review-wise, it's going to score that badly. It's just one of the dungeons that tends to get to me more than others. Honestly, I think it might be the fire dungeon, the Dodongo Caverns or whatever. I think that's going to be our worst. At least good. However you wanted to find that. What is wrong with your lawn, sir? Yeah, honestly, one of the biggest flaws of Twilight Princess. Oh, come on, I totally had that. Is that, that was total bomb jumping. Is that it, several of the items are only really useful for that particular dungeon. Now, that's not a thing exclusive to Twilight Princess. Zelda 2, Zelda 1 kind of did that. Zelda 2 absolutely has already done that. The game we're playing right now will do that as well. And Soil Sleep Secrets beneath your souls. Alright. I know this is a really easy, like a really dumb mistake to make, but how many of you have gone right past this to the dungeon and then been like, why won't the door open? In my defense, most Zeldas don't have you unlock a dungeon outside the dungeon like this, so I just wasn't in the mindset of turn in key at totally separate place to unlock dungeon. They do that several times in this game. Yeah, in this version it's way clearer because it's right here. You can see it right from there. But anyways, I wasn't kidding. At this point, this isn't even an early cutoff. It's just a full shift. I think I'm going to cut off when we hit the dungeon, though, as promised. I am still a little feverish, and I am still shaking a little bit, shivering a little bit. So, I will go ahead and take a health break, if that's okay with you guys. Grab some bombs. There we go. Tomorrow, roughly 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time,
More of this.
I'll see you guys.